Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and we are joined by Andrew Pollard, CEO of BlackRock Gold Corp. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Great to be here, Josh. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well, and New Year. And I honestly think there's good times ahead for gold. Obviously, it has been not the greatest asset over the last several years, but the last year has been pretty good, and a lot of bullishness. A lot of people are looking to gold to protect themselves against a possible recession, turmoil ahead. I wanted to ask, gold prices topped in 2011 at over $1,900 an ounce and bottomed in December of 2015 at $1,053 an ounce. It has been trending up ever since, now hovering at the mid 1450s with higher highs and higher lows. Where do you see gold heading in 2020 and beyond?
Yeah, Josh. No, you raise a good point. I mean, it's been an absolutely wild ride for gold over the past, 8 or 9 years. We ended 2019 really strongly. We closed above $1,500, which is, in most currencies except the US dollar. I mean, it's trading at new records. Where it's going. I mean, listen, there's a lot of bullishness that's been coming back into the sector over the past year or so. But the best part is no one's really even talking about it yet from a generalist perspective, investor perspective. You're starting to see central banks are buying. Gold is starting to come back. Money's starting to pour back into the industry in the form of ETFs. And you're seeing lots of mega mergers last year. But for most people, gold seems to be still a bit of a four-letter word. We're on some great momentum right now. It started, I guess it closed out 2018, started 2019 at around $1,300 an ounce. Here we sit, beginning of January 2019, and we're just over $1,500 an ounce, and it looks like it wants to go higher. So, as I said, in many currencies, we're already at all-time highs. It's just the U.S. dollar where we're still sort of at that midway mark, but as money comes back into this sector, or maybe as people try and take some money out of U.S. Treasuries, then if the dollar rolls over more, gold will continue to get a bid. So it's a good place to certainly hold some money in terms of
Right.
just, yeah.
Well, I have to ask though, I mean, going forward, there is a lot of, I mean, we're seeing all-time highs in the stock market, obviously, and, nonetheless, you're seeing a lot of nervousness about where this could possibly go. There's a lot of concern over turmoil down the line, and I wanted to hear your thoughts on, gold's place in, being a safe haven for so many people in times of turmoil.
Yeah, well, I mean that's exactly what it is. I mean, the stock markets are just continue to hit new all-time highs all the time, and everyone that's been investing long enough knows that the good times don't go on forever. This rally has been it's more long in the tooth than I think anything in modern history. So at a certain point, it can only go so high before it starts reverting back to the mean, and gold is generally seen as a safe haven commodity for that very reason. When you look at the instability out there, I mean, just recently, I mean, you're seeing Iran, U.S. Get more provocative with each other, which is largely behind the push towards the end of the year in gold as of late. But you got Brexit on the horizon. You've got the S&P at all-time highs. And once again, I mean, at what point do you start looking to diversify your holdings? And I'll tell you what, in the grand scheme of things, I mean, you could put all of the world's largest gold mining companies into one and combine them together, and they wouldn't even come anywhere close to the market capitalization of a Google, for example. So we're a drop in the bucket, and when that money starts to pour back in the industry, that's where you see parabolic shifts in price movement. We're starting to see that now. It's looking like major mining companies, which had very internal focus for the last 5 or 6 years, are now looking at adding to their reserves again. And we saw mega mergers this year. nearly $30 billion in 2019 in M&A.
Right. Well, actually, Andrew, that's exactly what I want to get into. I do have to note that historically, gold has been that safe haven, wealth protection, preservation of wealth that we've seen for so long. And obviously, people get very impatient over markets in general. But if you look back at even the 1970s to now, never mind the 1970s to now, 2002 to now, gold has performed enormously well. And with that said, with the bullish sentiment of the gold market, I want to get into something that you're kind of getting into there, which is where do you see the gold mining industry heading in the next year or so? Because it definitely seems like while people are kind of looking at gold as a safe haven, as always, a lot of people are also looking at the mining industry. Can you go into that a bit?
Yeah, well, I think you're going to see a pickup in M&A from the larger companies trying to buy ounces. I mean, the problem the industry has suffered from for the past decade or so has been a lack of investment, and that's at the bottom rung of mining companies, those ones doing the actual exploration. The major mining companies, have really turned their back on the exploration aspect of the business and focus more on their producing mines, trying to add value there and make as much money as they can. But unfortunately, they've depleted their stockpiles of, they're producing gold every year, and it's they're depleting their reserves. So they need to get that new production from somewhere, and that's got to come from the junior explorers and the advanced exploration and development stage companies. So what you're going to see is a lot more activity amongst the junior sector. Exploration has been really just I mean, the dollar value in exploration has fallen off a cliff from where it would have been 20 years ago. The amount of new discoveries made, I mean, there hasn't been any major, 5 to 10 million ounce discoveries made for as long as I can remember. Whereas in the 80s and 90s, I mean, there was a huge focus on that, and that's now what the major mining companies are mining. So what you're going to start to see is more activity. I run a junior exploration gold focused company, and we're noticing sentiments coming back from investors, meaning it'll be easier to raise funds, it'll be easier to go explore for new discoveries, and that's exactly what we're doing. So
Right.
whereas the last 2 years have been focused on profit margins, I think the next couple of years will be focused on drills turning in the ground, looking to find the next economic discovery. um,
Absolutely. And I do want to get into your company right away, but first I just want to kind of look at the contrast between physical gold and of gold mining, gold mining companies. I wanted to ask, how important is it for people, in your opinion, to hold physical gold? And in contrast, how much do you think people should diversify with a good mining company as the market grows?
Well, I mean, listen, I'm not an investment representative, but what I can tell you is that asset allocation is the name of the game, and that's across all commodities and stocks. And I mean, you want to be diversified. Gold naturally serves as one hell of a safe haven investment to hold in your portfolio, and offsets a lot of the risks that you can have if you're investing across a variety of other sectors. So it would be well within anyone's interest to hold between 10 and 20% of your net worth in gold and these asset-backed commodities. So that's what I'd recommend. Now, the difference between owning gold, like the underlying commodity, versus owning stocks in the gold space, or that gold, the moves can be quite pronounced. And I mean, even in the last year, you've seen gold prices move sharply from 1,300 to well above 1,500 where we stand currently. But gold stocks, those are ones that are highly leveraged, because once again, gold mining companies represent a drop in the bucket. And when investor money flows back into the sector, these stocks can absolutely go on runs. It's not uncommon to see multiple 10-bagger potential in a lot of these companies at the start of the next bull market. And from my perspective, is we're starting to see this is the beginning of a bull market in the gold exploration and development space.
Certainly. And without a doubt, we're seeing a lot of both institutional investors as well as private investors and people who are just trying to preserve their wealth flood into gold and silver as well. And something that I noticed in the last year was that private ownership of gold hit about a 50-50 mark with government ownership of gold, which I found pretty interesting. It says a lot about where a lot of people's minds are at. As good as the market markets might look as far as visuals go, people look back at the past and history doesn't repeat, but it does rhyme, as Mark Twain once said. And I want to go into your company, sir. I think this is something that a lot of our viewers would be very much interested in, as you are the president and CEO of BlackRock Gold Corp. Can you explain what your company is to our audience and what the advantages your company has are in the current gold market?
Sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. So BlackRock Gold Corp, we're a Nevada-focused gold exploration company. We've actually got a former major mining project. It was used to be worked on by both Teck and Placer Dome, so some of the largest mining companies on the planet. Though it was very much a victim of the cyclicality of the industry because it hasn't seen any drilling on the project in about 15 years. We've got about 45 square kilometers, so nearly 12, or just over 12,000 acres on the northern Nevada Rift, which is right at the top of the Carlin Trend in north central Nevada. So this is one of the most prolific gold districts on the face of the planet. And what we're targeting there is high-grade gold. The northern Nevada Rift is known for these bonanza high-grade vein-hosted deposits, and we're picking up right where Teck and Placer Dome left off back in 2003, 2004. They made two independent high-grade discoveries, but because of the bear market, because gold was probably $300 and trending even lower back when they were exploring it, major mining companies lost all bandwidth to do generative exploration, and the project just sort of sat in purgatory for the last 15 years until BlackRock was able to get his hands on it. So we've just completed the first drilling program on it since 2005. We're following right back in the footsteps of where Teck encountered 158 grams per ton over 1.5 meters. So that's 5 ounce per ton gold, which is like stratospheric in the industry. And we're trying to piece together, put together, one foot in front of the other to piece together what could be a real bonanza style economic discovery. So we're awaiting assays right now, yeah, we've gone on quite a run since we really packaged this project up, and I brought management in to really put things into overdrive. We've been one of the best performing gold stocks on the venture exchange in the last 6 months, with early investors seeing gains from, we went from 3 cents Canadian to 35 cents as of about a month and a half ago, and we're trading really high in there. So our project's got a lot of merit to it. It was just a victim of the cyclicality of the industry, and now we're entering into a really interesting point, both in terms of sentiment for the junior exploration industry, but also we've inherited a whole bunch of data and a new understanding of all the deposits around us, which we're looking at a project through a brand new lens, and we think that this could be the next logical discovery down there. So that's what we're trying to do.
I had a feeling that you were Canadian. I'm living in Nevada myself. I'm from Canada. There's a lot of stuff happening, in Canada, but I've never seen anything like what I've seen in Nevada as of recently. It's really a growing industry. It's a talk of a lot of people down here. And with that said, I wanted to ask, what do you think, sets yourself apart from all the other gold mining companies out there? What makes you guys, what gives you guys the most potential going forward compared with these other guys that are getting in on this industry?
No, that's a great question. Well, one thing is, listen, mining projects come down to two things: projects and people. That's it. So our project, it's an amazing opportunity. We're in Nevada, which is seen as one of, probably singularly the best jurisdiction you can be in the gold mining space, due to a number of reasons. Obviously, from a jurisdiction point of view, there's the rule of law. You've got, infrastructure. You've got access to people. It's a truly, it's as good as a gold mining jurisdiction as there is. We're at the Northern Nevada Rift, right where we are, is the second most prolific gold mining jurisdiction in the world. We're surrounded by over 200 million ounces of gold in every direction from us. So it's, gold mines tend to be found near where other gold mines are. And the opportunity here is that because this project is sat in purgatory, it was, it literally hasn't seen any work on it in 15 years. And it was just tied up with a very onerous deal, which the secret sauce behind what we're doing and what I've done is I've managed to clean that up and make it really exciting for investors to get a part of. But this is a former major mining project in one of the most prolific gold districts on the planet. And generally the consensus is that all of the easy discoveries have already been made. Well, our project hasn't seen any work on it in 15 years, and for very good reason. We're now picking up right where these other groups left off. We think that there's a lot of low-hanging fruit for us to explore. We're in the right area. I've got a hell of a team behind me. Yeah, so that's the opportunity. We're targeting high grades in a great jurisdiction, and we've got enough data that I think we're very dangerous in terms of coming up with something really, really good in the near term.
Absolutely. Well, if retail investors are looking at this stock, what can be the catalyst that boosts the value of the company, and what is the exit strategy for the company?
Well, we're a one asset company. This is a huge project for a little company to have. As I said, I mean, we're in one of the most prolific gold mining districts on the planet, and I've got about 45 square kilometers, and there's targets all over this thing. Now we're going back to where we know there was gold, because that's where Teck and Placer Dome encountered it on two small rounds of previous drilling. So the first thing we're doing is we're following up on those. We've got a new understanding of the geology there, and the number one catalyst for any junior exploration stock is drill results, and we've got those pending. We completed the first drilling on the project in 15 years back in December, and all of those results have yet to be received and released. Beyond that, we're going to bring systematic exploration to the rest of the project because there's a lot of other interesting structures on the property that haven't yet been defined with the drill. So in terms of exit strategy, well, we're a one asset company. It's a former major mining project, and I think that if we come up with anything that indicates that we're onto something, we'd be a very likely takeout target. We're in the very early days yet, but this is all the money in these sorts of stories is made on the discovery hole. We're looking to make that big discovery hole yet. That's where the true wealth creation potential lies, and that's what we're committed to doing. So 2020 is going to be a very active year. We're already putting together plans in terms of multiple drill programs and other geophysical programs which can aid in identifying where the gold lies beneath. And we're just going to put one foot in front of the other and try and get it.
Absolutely. Well, what is the company's financial condition, for example, cash and debt?
Yeah, well, no debt, so to speak. From a cash perspective, listen, we're in the capital deployment business, so nothing we do generates any revenue. So we're only as good as our next financing. Now we've deployed a lot of capital, and the hope is that the results we get back will I guess grease the wheels on our next financing. That said, I hold a lot of equity in this company. I came into it because I looked at everything we do. I'm looking at through the lens of an investor. It's return on capital, and it's how do we get to the next point to keep raising money at a higher and higher level. So that's the focus. So everything we're going to do in the next year will require more money. Now, naturally, we've been on a hell of a run for the last 6 months. So one of the benefits of that is that there's lots of money coming in the door through warrants being exercised, which are in the money right now. So it's taken the necessity to raise money to sort of keep our head above water and keep the lights on while we await for full results on our initial program. But I'm hoping that this is going to be a very active program next year, and it's going to require some money. So that'll be, we'll be turning our focus to that in the near term too, once we can digest the results.
There's so much excitement in this industry, and it's always good to talk with individuals that are creating things and bringing great opportunities to this market. And everyone should do their own due diligence, as always. But we are always appreciative to talk to people that are really doing things here. What's your bottom line on why you think people should look into your company, and where can they find more information or get involved?
Yeah, well, listen, we're, even in the doldrums of, last year, we managed to outperform the market. I mean, wildly. We delivered huge returns to investors, and now we're on the radars of lots of people right as the gold market is actually catching a bit of a bid again. So, just as a proxy for the junior exploration industry, it's not a bad speculative investment from there. But that said, we're beyond just that. We think we've got one of the most overlooked projects in junior exploration right now. We're in the right jurisdiction. We've got enough data that to be very dangerous, and I think that 2020 will be a very pivotal and active year for the company and for investors. So I'd recommend anyone that cares to learn more can first of all look at our stock charts. On the TSX Venture, we're traded under the symbol BRC. And on the OTC, we're traded under the symbol BKRRF. Our website's blackrockgoldcorp.com, and that's probably the best starting point.
Excellent. Well, I really appreciate you joining us today, Mr. Pollard. There's a lot for everyone to look into, so make sure to check the links below this video, everyone. Do your own due diligence. Look further into this. I think it's very exciting. I'm very excited about the future of this industry. I mean, the number one request we get at this media is to talk to people about, one, gold, and second, gold mining. Something that a lot of people have been curious about as we kind of head into this new decade. A lot of people are interested in what to get involved in next and what to look at in a bullish way going forward. So I really appreciate you joining us today, sir. Again, everyone check those links below, and we hope to talk with you again soon.
Awesome. Thanks very much. Great to be here.
Like what you see here at WHAM, don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We cannot do it without you guys. Every donation is extremely, extremely appreciated as we're getting incredibly shadow banned. We've lost 80% of our audience since January of 2019 and counting. They are ripping us apart here on YouTube, and the only thing we could do in the meantime as we prepare for the next big step is to ask for help from the viewers that support our free information that we try to post on a daily basis. You can also find us on Subscribestar, where just $1 a month, that's all it takes, $1 a month is all it takes to truly make a huge difference. If everyone gave $1 a month, it would change everything for independent media, and we could win this information war, and we can defeat the mainstream medias eventually. And of course, on Subscribestar, we post subscriber-only content that you'll only see on Subscribestar. So make sure to pledge there, become a patron. That makes a huge difference, guys. And also, don't forget to check out our Bitcoin address below in the comments and description, as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on the alternatives. We will likely be deleted by YouTube in the next 2 years. It's already happening on a vast scale, so make sure to find us on float.app. That's flote.app. At Josh Sigurdson, as well as at WHAM, W-A-M. Float.app is replacing every social media, and I mean, it's just incredible the opportunities it provides for not just creators, but for the average person who wants to get away from these nannies telling them what they can or cannot see. They plan to replace Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Tumblr, Reddit, and Patreon. You could subscribe to us on Float and pledge with cryptocurrency. It's really innovative. We are also on BitChute at World Alternative Media, as well as so many others, Minds, PocketNet. You can find us at World Alternative Media on Instagram. There's many options. And finally, don't forget to join us at Anarchapulco 2020, the famous event, the best Liberty event known to mankind, other than perhaps Anarcho Vegas 2020. There are 2 major events coming up that we are extremely excited about, and you can use promo code WHAM, that's W-A-M, and save 10% on your tickets to these legendary conferences. There's so many amazing people speaking there. You won't want to miss it. So make sure to support in any way you can, even if it's just sharing our videos, pressing like, pressing to be notified. Anything helps, folks. You are the change you wish to see. Thanks for watching, everyone. And until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.
you.